Hi, I'm Kathy Quinn with Floriani. Floriani is a division of R&K Distributing, and I want to welcome you to this month's Project of the Month. Now, the first thing I want you to do is double mouse click on your Floriani Total Control software. We are going to create our project today in the Total Control Professional. Now, if you do have the Embroidery Suite Pro, you can open that. Now, we do have a couple of tools in Total Control Professional that we are going to use today that you do not have in the suite, but I will show you a workaround. So what you want to do is go ahead and open your Total Control program. Now, the first thing that will open up is your My Floriani Today page. This is an important page because, of course, you've got your 5 new free designs. Don't forget to download these every single month. Also, if you need your support desk, your software support, or your help desk, it is available from here as well as the support forum. So let's get started. Now, the first thing we do is we need to get a piece of paper. All of our icons are grayed out, and you can't color without a piece of paper. So I want you to come up to the upper left-hand corner, left mouse click on the piece of paper. That is your new document icon. When I left mouse click, my screen comes up. Now, the first thing we want to do when we have our workspace is we want to set it up to work for us. Now, the first thing today is we are going to work first in metric. So you will notice I am in inches, and you can see that because right here on your upper left-hand corner of your ruler bar, which extends across the top and down the left-hand side, you can see the word inches. So in order to change that, I'm going to put my cursor anywhere along this ruler bar and right mouse click. Then I can come and change that to metric. So right mouse click inches and right mouse click metric. Now I want to set up my grid to work for me. Now, it's probably easier to do that in inches for most of us because we think in inches. But today we're going to go ahead and work with the metric. I will right mouse click and I will come down to the words Grid Settings. Now, you are going to notice it says 25.4. That is an inch. So what I want you to do first is make sure the Maintain Aspect Ratio box has a check mark in it. If that box is blank, I want you to put your cursor and left mouse click. Then I want you to come into your horizontal or vertical, and I want you to type in 25.4. That is equal to 1 inch. Once you have that number, I want you to come down and say OK. Now that means that this grid square is an inch. So no matter how much I zoom in or zoom out, this will still be 1 inch. So we are going to start to create our project. Now, this month's project is a pillowcase that you are going to construct, and we are going to applique some flowers on it. We're going to use rickrack for our stem. We are going to make for our flower head. We're going to do raw edge applique on that. And then we are going to create leaves and centers that are needle turn applique. So let's get started digitizing. And we are going to focus on using our run stitch for our digitizing today. Now you will come over to your left-hand toolbar. Now you have an icon. It's the 9th one down in the total control. It's the 8th icon down in your suite, and it looks like a landscape. This is your load backdrop tool. We are going to left mouse click on this, and it's going to bring up where we can go get a JPEG. Now, Floriani software will read vector files. That's nice, clean, pretty artwork. But most of the time in the home market, we're working with JPEGs or bitmaps. Now, I have given this artwork to your dealer so you can bring a jump drive and have them put this artwork on that so you can complete this class. Now, I'm going to left mouse click on the flower artwork and open that up onto my screen. Now this is the flower that we are going to digitize. Now the first thing you would normally do when you bring in artwork is make sure that the width and height are exactly what you want, the finished size of the design. Before you digitize artwork, you want it the correct size. Now this is correct. It's about 2.33 inches because I created it and I created it the size I wanted. So you do not have to worry about changing the size of your artwork because it's already correct. But know that if you were digitizing anything else you brought in, you would make sure it was the finished size before starting to digitize it. If you change these numbers, do not forget to apply those changes to make them real. Now we're going to come up to the top toolbar and we are going to left mouse click on our run stitch icon. Now in total control it looks like a backwards black S, and in your Embroidery Suite Pro it looks like a backwards black C. Now let's just left mouse click on it, and I want you to look at your properties box in the upper left hand pane. Upper right hand pane. The first thing is the stitch length is 3 millimeters. And it says the type of stitch I'm using is a standard. That is a single run stitch. For this exercise, that's exactly what I want. So we are going to come and we are going to basically trace this piece of artwork with our run stitch. Now I am going to start right here at the point, and I am going to left mouse click. Now notice that puts down a little blue box for me. Now that is a control point. Now I'm going to do a series of these here. Now obviously these are not following my artwork. I did this to show you if I don't like a left mouse click when I put down a blue box, if I don't like where I've placed it, I can hit the backspace key on my keyboard. So by pushing the backspace key, it is erasing the last point that's there. So you can see I can erase by hitting my backstitch key. Now I've erased everything but the first point. That's where I wanted it. Now I'm going to come up just a little bit, and I'm going to left mouse click again, because that is a fairly straight line at this point. Now I need to add in a curve. I want it to look curved around here. So by holding down the control key on your keyboard, and I'm going to come up to about the middle of this curve, and I'm going to left mouse click. Now I'm going to go ahead and come down and left mouse click, and notice how that creates a nice curve. Now I'm going to let go of my control key. I'm going to left mouse click, and now again I'm going to hold down that control key, come about to the center of my curve, left mouse click, come on down, left mouse click. Notice it made a beautiful curve. Take your finger off the control key, because I need straight, left mouse click, hold down my control key, left. I don't like the curve there, so I'm going to backspace. I'm going to come back up here and holding my control key, left mouse click. Now I'm going to let go of the control key, straight, hold down control, left, let go of the control key, straight, and I know you've got it down. So just continue around your flower until you are finished. Forgot to hold my control key. Now I'm just finishing up, and I'm going to go ahead and meet where I put my first control point, left mouse click. Now I have traced around this artwork. Now I am going to right mouse click to turn that into a run stitch. So you can see I've now created my flower outline. Now I'm going to come down to the bottom icon on the left hand toolbar, and I'm going to turn off my artwork. Okay, so I have created the head of my flower. Now we're going to go ahead now, and what I want to do is we are going to have 3 flowers on our pillowcase. So we need to create a template to print out for our applique wonder. What we're going to do is print this flower out on a sheet of 8.5 by 11 applique wonder. What that is going to do is we are then going to iron this onto the back of our applique fabric and cut it out on that line. So we need to create a template to print. Now the first thing we want to do is we are going to select this flower. Now we can come down into the sequence view in the bottom right hand pane on the right hand of the screen, left mouse click, and you can see it will select my flower. Now the first thing I need to do is mirror image it. Why? Because this will print on one side of the applique wonder and our fabric will iron to the back. So we need to mirror image this flower. So let's left mouse click on that, and it has now mirror imaged. So now we are going to repeat this flower. Now I'm going to make 4 flowers because I always like having an extra one in case I make an error when I'm cutting or something. I don't have to go back and print out another template. So I have a tool called a repeat. Now in Total Control Professional, you have all these one-click wonder icons. So I will left mouse click on the repeat icon, and it will bring up my repeat tool. But now if you have Embroidery Suite Pro, you do not have the icons. So you will have to come up to Tools and go to the word Repeat. It brings up the same option, you just have to go about it in a little bit longer method. Now I am going to stitch 2 across, or repeat 2 across and 2 down. Now when I do that, I'm going to need to iron the fabric onto the back of the applique wonder, and I'm going to need to trim these out. But you can see these are pretty close. So I want room for my scissors to get in. So I'm going to put about 4 millimeters, which is a little bigger than 1/8 of an inch, in between. And I'm going to apply that and say OK. Now I have very little waste with fabric because I've given me enough room to get the scissors in there, but I haven't made it real big so that I've got to waste fabric. Now with this has created our template to print out on the back of the applique wonder, because this is going to be exactly the placement line for our flower heads. So I want to show you the print options in Floriani. Now I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to come down to Print Preview. Now I want to talk to you about the Print Preview screen. Now I'm going to click on Settings, and I want you to see what we can do. Now if this were a design and not just a template, I would want actual size, of course. Then I would like to have the crosshairs. I would probably want the color analysis to print out, the colors in the order they're going to stitch in. I would probably want the information that's on the header. I wouldn't put one in one page because it would shrink everything down to fit, so I no longer would necessarily have actual size for my design. So in one page as if you're cataloging, making a catalog page. Now I don't care about the artwork or the backdrop. I might want to print out my hoop. I might want to put it where it looks like it's three-dimensional. And if I've got notes, I would probably want a footer. And you definitely want stitches checked, because if you don't check stitches, it's not going to print out the image. Now in the title, now I've obviously done this exercise, and I went ahead in the title, I typed in flower applique template. Now I can choose to print that title out or not by having a checkbox. Now I'm going to leave all these settings so you can see what it would look like. Now okay, first thing is I've got the header that tells me the stitches, the trims, the colors, the width, the height, the date it was created, and the name. Now if I come down, you can see I also have my X and Y placement lines as well as my diagonals. Now I don't have any notes, but if I did, they would print out down here. Now since this is going to be a template to iron on the back of the applique fabric, I don't need to waste all this ink. So I'm going to go back to settings. I do not need crosshairs. I don't care about a color analysis. I don't need the header. I don't need the footer. I need the actual size and the stitches. I will print the title out, because if I'm printing out several pages of applique templates for a quilt, let's say I would name them by the block. Flower, block 1. Leaf, block 1. And that way when I print them all out and I only use part of them, I still know what they go to. So let's say OK, and notice now all I have is the name and the actual items I'm going to print out on the applique Wonder. Now we are going to close this because we're not going to print it this time. I am going to save this, and I'm going to File, Save As, and I am going to name this design Applique Flower Template. So I've named the design. I'm going to keep it at the Floriani C2S format right now because this isn't a stitch out, but I save everything I do first in C2S because that is a clean working file. It's not a stitch file. So I'm going to go to Save. Now notice I have now got the name of my design on the tab right here at the lower left-hand corner. Now that I have this, I'm going to select one of these flowers. Now if you come in your sequence view and click the plus, you notice it's got 4 run stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm just going to select one of them. I'm going to right mouse click. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to open a new piece of paper. I'm going to right mouse click and paste. Now I've got this run stitch flower. Now remember, we mirror imaged it. I am going to flip it back because now I'm going to create the design that is going to stitch. Now with this printed out here, with this highlighted, I'm going to right mouse click and I am going to convert this to a tackle twill. Now tackle twill is a very unusual stitch. This stitch is used when you see professional jerseys and you see the numbers appliqued down. They're not stitched down with a satin stitch. They are stitched down with a tackle twill. And it just catches those numbers and it stitches it down real, kind of strange, but it's because it doesn't need the weight or a lot of stitches. We're using it today for the effect. So I have the tackle twill. Now in my properties box, I want the width of this 2 millimeters. I want the density at 2 millimeters. I do need a placement line. And the inset, I want that inset to be at 50%. 100%. So I've got everything down like I like, and I am going to apply that. Now you notice I've got a placement line. I inset it 50%, so it's going to be half in and half out when it stitches down. Now this is a tackle twill, and I do have here that after the placement line, stop. So you could put your fabric down, and in this it will be those pre-cut flowers that we've made the template for. But a lot of your home machines will not stop because it has a command. It will stop because the color is different. So we need this to be two colors to ensure that your machine will stop. But if we come to our sequence view and drop this down, you notice all it has is tackle twill stitch, and when I click on it, it selects everything. So what we need to do is right mouse click with it selected, and we want to break up the path. Now notice I have a run stitch and I have a tackle twill stitch. But I told you it's not going to change, it's not going to stop unless it's two colors. So we are going to left mouse click on tackle twill, and I'm going to come over here to color number 2 and right mouse click. Now I know the color I want my finished stitch to be because I know the color of fabric I have chosen for my flowers. Yours will be whatever color you need to stitch your fabric down with. But on mine, I already know the color, so I'm going to left mouse click on color number 2, and I'm going to change this to 370 Mint Julep. Okay. So now notice I have a run stitch that's 3435, that's the name of the color or the number, and then it's going to stop. I'll put my fabric down, and it will then finish with color number 370, which is the Mint Julep. So now I have created this, and it's perfect. Now I am going to use this in my finished design when I create my design. Right now we're just creating the pieces. So I'm going to go to File, Save As, Flower Head. That's what I'm going to save it as. Flower Head, I'm going to leave it at C2S, and we are going to save. Now notice this design is called Flower Head. I have Applique Flower Template, and I have Flower Head. Now if you have the Embroidery Suite, you do not have a tackle twill. So let me show you how you are going to create this piece. Now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to bring up my Embroidery Suite. Okay, so you have got your run stitch done. And now we are going to create the top so it will look like a tackle twill. So the first thing I need to do is right mouse click. I need to copy this. I need to right mouse click and paste. Now I am going to this second color. I'm going to come down here, and I brought this in from the total control, so it already has a name in my colors there, but you would do the same thing. You would right mouse click on color number 2, so you have two separate colors, and then you would left mouse click to change this to whatever color number you want it to be. I want 370 Mint Julep. Okay, now it's perfect. So I have a blue run, and I now have a Mint Julep run. Now with the Mint Julep run selected, or the second run stitch selected, color 2, we are going to right mouse click on it, and we are going to convert it to a steel stitch. Now that is a satin. We're going to come in here, and I want the width of that satin stitch to be 2 millimeters. I want the density to be 2 millimeters. Now once I've got that done, I'm going to apply. It looks pretty bad, so we're going to come to the underlay. I need you to remove the underlay, apply that. Now come on over to where it says General, and where it says Connection End, I want you to put Zigzag and apply. So now you have a stitch that looks like a tackle twill. You again will go File, and you will go Save As, and you will save this as flower head. Okay, I'm going to go back to my total control. Now what we're going to need to do is we are going to create the leaf. Now again, go up and get a new piece of paper. Come down to the 9th icon in the left-hand toolbar, your load backdrop tool, looks like a landscape, and I want you to grab the leaves artwork, open it, and here is the leaf we're going to use. Now again, if you just brought this in, you would size it to the size you want. I'm happy with it right now. We are going to go ahead and digitize this. Now again, I'm going to come up and get my run stitch. Now I am not going to start at a point. The reason being is we are going to use this leaf. We're going to actually stitch this out on a piece of fabric, and I'm going to hoop it with some Wet and Gone Fusible. This is going to stitch down. We're going to slit the Wet and Gone Fusible and turn that leaf. So we don't want knots and bulk in the point. So we're going to start on a side, and I am going to left mouse click. Now this is curved, so I'm going to hold down my control key, and I'm going to come up, and I'm going to left mouse click. Come on up and left mouse click. It follows it real pretty. Let go of your control key. Come on up, do your point. Come down, hold down your control key. Left mouse click. Left mouse click. I'm continuing to hold my control key. Left mouse click. Left mouse click, and I want you to let go of your control key to finish off the little point here. Come on back up, hold down your control key, and let's come on up and let's finish the leaf. Now I don't like the curve on the left hand side, so I'm going to backspace a little bit here. I'll come on up here, holding down my control key, left mouse click, and left mouse click. So I like how my leaf looks. I am going to right mouse click, and I have finished it. Now I'm going to select the leaf, and I have a standard stitch here. I want a 2-ply. I want to make sure it catches good. Comes sometimes when your machine stitches, it'll like not really catch the first couple stitches good sometimes. I want to ensure this is going to be stitched well. Now with that, I am also going to come to the commands, and I'm going to make sure it has a basic tie in and basic tie off. Apply. Now what we're going to do is we need 7 leaves for our flowers. We are going to create 8. That way if you mess up a leaf, you don't have to go back and stitch out the hoop full of leaves again. So again, we're going to use our repeat function. The reason we have stayed in millimeters today so far is because you never use the repeat function in inches. You always use it in metric. And it's because of the spacing in between. Because if you want to know what 3 millimeters is in inches, it's 0.12. We don't know that. So it's much easier to use it in millimeters because we understand those smaller pieces of measurement. We understand millimeters because of our sewing machines. So left mouse click on repeat, or go to Tools, Repeat function in the Embroidery Suite. I am going to have 4 leaves across and 2 down. Now this time, because we are going to trim with fabric here, and I'm going to turn it, I need there to at least be an 1/8 of an inch border around the leaves. So what I'm going to do in my distance here is I'm going to put 10 millimeters. That's almost 1/2 inch. But that will give us plenty of room to trim and still have fabric. So you can see I'll trim like this, and that will give me about an 1/8 of an inch to a little bit more of border around each of these with fabric. Apply that to screen. Oops, I'm sorry, say okay, we already applied it. Now there are my leaves. Now this we are going to stitch out. I'm going to save this file, save as. Now I'm going to call this, ouch, my leaves placement. No, leaves, I'm sorry. We're making the leaves out of this. We're going to leave it at the C2S format. Save. So now this is our third design that we have done. Now again, I need one of these leaves. Oh, you know what? We didn't do one thing that was very important. I know they look fairly symmetrical, but there's nothing that says they're perfect. So mirror image them. Now I know that when I put the placement line in the front of the fabric, these have been ironed onto the back and flipped. We're going to do here, flip. I know it will be the right way to go onto the fabric. So that's how they're going to stitch out. Now, again, and I need to save that to make sure it saves that way. Now I'm going to select one leaf. I can do it by clicking on the leaf, or I could have come over here into my sequence view and I could have picked a leaf out of here. So I have a leaf, right mouse click, copy, get a new piece of paper, right mouse click, paste, and mirror image it so it's back the right way. Now here is our placement. So what will happen is this will stitch out on our fabric. We will put our leaf down that we've needle turned, and now I need to stitch down the edge, and I'm going to use that tackle twill. So again, how we're going to make that perfect. We have a feature in Total Control. With this selected, I'm going to right mouse click, and I am going to create an outline. This is a really neat feature. I want it to be 1 millimeter away on the inside of this line. I want it to follow it exactly, but I want it to be 1 millimeter to the inside. Now I want to remove the selected stitches because I need this placement and stitch down a little bit smaller. So remove stitches and say OK. Now this is a piece of artwork. Right mouse clicked, convert to tackle twill. Now I've got that tackle twill. I'm going to come in here, and again I want my width 2 millimeters. I want my density 2. I want a placement line, and I'm going to make it 50% inset. And I'm going to apply. Now there it is, a little bit smaller, so now everything's going to fit perfectly. Now again, your machine is not going to stop. So what I'm going to do is select it, right mouse click, and break up the path. Select your tackle twill. We are going to right mouse click on color number 2, left mouse click, and change this to 370. For me, you can change it to whatever color you need. Okay. Now I have the placement line and I have the blue tack down. So it's perfect for what I need. Now I'm going to file and I'm going to save as, and this one is going to be leaves or leaf placement. So that is going to be my leaf placement and finish. Okay, so now I've named this one leaf placement and finish. We're going to save that. Of course, I see it right here. Now I'm going to go ahead and show you, if you have the Embroidery Suite, how you're going to need to deal with this. So let me bring up the suite. I'm going to get a new piece of paper and and I should have that leaf digitized on the page. Okay, now remember, we had mirror imaged it. We need to go ahead and flip it back. So we are going to go to flip horizontal. It's on your left hand toolbar. So now it's back the correct way, and now we need to to go ahead and create the same type stitch, and we need it to be smaller. So we're going to right mouse click on this, and we are going to convert this to an applique. Now with this as an applique, I am going to have to get rid of my placement line. And the reason I'm taking that off is the tack down line is inset that 1 millimeter that I need. So I'm going to remove the placement line and I am going to apply. So now I have this satin stitch with a placement line. Of course, over in my sequence view, it's an applique. So when I select that, it's all one piece. I'm going to right mouse click and break up the path. So I've separated the run from the applique. Now I'm going to select the applique and I'm going to hit the delete on my keyboard. Now I have a run stitch leaf that's 1 millimeter smaller, just like when I created the inside border in Total Control. Now that I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and right mouse click copy, right mouse click paste. So I have 2 run stitches. This second run, you can see it in my sequence view, I'm going to right mouse click on color number 2, and then I'm going to go ahead and left mouse click on color number 2 and make it the color I need the finished stitch. Okay, so now I've got a blue placement line and I have a 370 color run stitch. I'm going to right mouse click and I'm going to convert that to a steel. Now of course I'm going to change my width to 2. I need to change my density to 2 point. I will apply that. I will come and I will remove the parallel underlay. I want no underlay. Apply that. Scoot on down to general, and we are going to change the connection into zigzag, and I am going to apply. So now you have your leaf, and you need to change to save this as leaf placement finish. So now you've got your leaf. We're going back to Total Control. Now I'm going to get a new piece of paper, and I don't know why my program is thinking so hard, but it is. So we're going to let it think for a minute. A new piece of paper. Now with that, we need the flower center. Now there was no reason to do artwork for this because I have an artwork tool, and circles are easy. So I'm going to come up to my top toolbar in both programs. This is available, and go to the ellipse. Now you've got it stuck to your cursor, and now I know this square is an inch. I've already made my grid. So I'm going to put my cursor at the upper left-hand corner of one of these junctions on a square. Hold down your Shift key. Now, hold down your cursor and pull this out until it kisses the side and the bottom. You now have a perfect circle. Let go. Now we have an artwork circle here. I'm going to select it. I'm going to right mouse click on it, and I'm going to convert it to a tackle twill. Again, we're going to add that placement line. We want a 50% inset. We want the density at 2, and I'm going to apply. Perfect. Now this we are also, and I forgot to make our stitch out for our 4 centers. Not a problem. Let's come over here, and again we are going to right mouse click, and we are going to break up this path. Select your tackle twill. We need to change the color of the second stitch. Right mouse click on color number 2. Then go ahead and left mouse click on it and change it to the finished color you want for your stitch down. Okay. Now I have my tackle twill is my 370, my mint julep, and my placement stitch. Now we forgot to create the 4 we needed to stitch out onto our fabric to create our needle turn centers. Not a problem, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to select just the run stitch, right mouse click, copy, get a new piece of paper, right mouse click and paste. Okay, so now that I've got this, I need to do a repeat function. I need 3 centers. So of course I'm going to come up to my repeat tool, and I am going to do 2 across and 2 down, or I could do 4 across. They're only an inch big, so let's go ahead and do 4 across, because it will save fabric that way. 4 across, and so I only want 1 down. Now again, I need about 10 millimeters in between them, and we are going to apply that, and we are going to say OK. Now I want to come here under type, and I want to tell it to be 2-ply. Apply that, and then I am going to go into my commands and add that basic tie-in, apply, and basic tie-off, apply. So now we have our 4 centers. We only need 3. We're stitching out 4 just to make sure to stitch out onto our fabric. So we're going to come in here and call this Save As, and we're going to call this Flower Centers. Save it as a C2S file. Save. Now let's go back to this stitch. Now I realized while I was doing the other that we did not make this a millimeter smaller to the inside. That's okay. We're going to select the blue and delete it. Not a problem. The mint julep, but what we selected was the Atlas, my mind just went blank, tackle twill. Right mouse click, create an outline. I need this to be 1 millimeter inside, remove selection, OK. So now this is the millimeter smaller. Right mouse click, convert this to a tackle twill. Again, give me a placement line, 50% offset, 2 millimeters of density. Apply that. Perfect. Again, we know that it's not going to stop, so we're going to select it. Right mouse click, break up that path, select your tackle twill, and make it color number 2 or whatever color you need. So now I have my center placement finish. So File, Save As, Center Placement Finish. And I can't spell center. And I really can't spell center. Center Placement Finish, and save. Now, again, I cannot do this in the suite. I don't have that outline stitch. So what I'm going to do is open up the suite, and we're going to do it in there. Okay, so we have our outline, our run stitch. So in the suite, we need to right mouse click, copy. No, I apologize. We need to right mouse click, convert to an applique. Now we're going to get rid of the placement line. We are going to apply that. Now you can see we've got this line that's left that's to the inside. So we're going to right mouse click to break up that path so we can come into our sequence view. We can select the applique stitches and push delete on our keyboard. So now I've got my circle and it's smaller. So now I can right mouse click, copy, right mouse click, paste. So I have 2 run stitches. On the second run stitch, select it, select your second one, and then come down, right mouse click to change it to color number 2. Go ahead and left mouse click, make it the color you need the finish to be, OK. And now we're going to right mouse click and convert that to a steel stitch. We're going to come change our width to 2.0. We're going to change our density to 2 point. Apply. We are going to deselect the parallel underlay. Apply. And we're going to go to General and tell the connection end to be a zigzag and apply. So now I have my center with its tack down in the suite. Again, you'll save this as Center Placement Finish, and you will have that design saved as well. So we are going to bring back up our total control, and now we are going to put our design together. Get a new piece of paper. Now we're going to go ahead and change to inches up here. Right mouse click, come down, left mouse click on inches. We want to be able to kind of see what's going on, and I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to zoom to actual size. So these are inches right now. Now I'm going to use the artwork tool to kind of give us a visual boundary, the size of that pillowcase. Not the with the cuff, but just the body. Left mouse click, I need to get rectangle. It's stuck to my cursor. I'm going to hold down my left mouse key and drag, and I've created an artwork rectangle. Select it. Now we are going to transform. We're going to resize this. Deselect maintain aspect ratio. Now the width is 21 inches. The height is 24 inches because it's a 3/4 of a yard long. Apply that. Fit this to screen. Now there is our pillowcase to put our design in, and we are going to have 3 hoopings. Now what we're going to do first is we're going to get our run stitch again, because I'm going to use a run stitch as a placement line that I'm then going to lay my rickrack on top of, that is the stem for my flowers. So I'm going to come into the center of this pillowcase, and I'm going to start about half an inch up, a little less than half an inch up, because we're going to have a half an inch seam line, and I want the bottom of the rickrack to get caught in that seam. And I'm going to left mouse click. Now notice as I drag my cursor up, look in the bottom left hand corner down here on your screen, and it's going to tell me the length of this line. Now I have a hoop that is 13 7/8 inch, is the highest, the tallest I can make anything, because that's the width of my hoop. You know your hoop's limitations. So think about that. You don't want to make a flower bigger than will stitch out in your hoop. So don't make it any taller than your hoop. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to make this about 9 inches long. Okay, I want it about 9 inches up. Now if you can also count squares, obviously these squares are each an inch. So this is pretty good for me right here. And I'm going to left mouse click. Now I've got point 1 and point 2. I will right mouse click, and I have just digitized a run stitch. And all this is going to be is a placement line. Now that's flower number 1. Now I'm going to put a flower on the left side and a flower on the right side. So let's left mouse click, move over a little bit because I don't want the rickrack all on top of each other to make a bulk. Left mouse click. Now make your other flower coming out at its angle. When you've got it, now remember, don't drag that line any taller than your hoop, and remember you're going to have a flower head here. And we are going to drag this up, and I'm not going to make this one as tall. Left mouse click and right mouse click to finish. Go ahead and create another one on the left hand side. Same thing. Whatever height you want it. Right mouse click, two left mouse clicks. And right mouse click to finish. So these are our 3 stems. Now we need pieces of our flowers. So we're going to come in and we're going to look at our flower head. Here is our flower head. And we've got all of our designs down here, so this makes this a lot easier. Now this flower is not grouped. I'm going to select everything on the page, all items in the sequence view. I want you to group this. Come up to your upper toolbar. Now if you are in Floriani Total Control Professional, you have all these one-click icons. Come up and left mouse click on the group icon. If you do not have Floriani Total Control, you're in the suite, you will right mouse click and you will come down and select the word group. So now this is grouped. Select it, right mouse click on it, copy. Come back to our design page, right mouse click, and for some reason this does not want to paste into here. I don't know why. So we're going to go to File, Merge, and we are going to go to our flower head and open. Okay, so now I'm going to take this, pull it down where I want it, and I'm not going to go back. I'm just going to right mouse click on this, copy, right mouse click, paste, and I'm going to pull this one over, place it here. Again, right mouse click, copy, right mouse click, paste. You could have just continued to paste, but we're just going to, repetition is what teaches us. So I'm going to put this one here. So I have my 3 flower heads. Now I need to add leaves in. So I'm going to come into the leaf placement finish. Again, this isn't grouped, so go to all items and group it. Use your group icon or right mouse click group. I'm going to try it again. Copy from here, go back in here. Let's see if I right mouse click. Oh, it's letting me paste. I don't know why it wouldn't let me do the flower head. Now I need 7 leaves. So I'm going to right mouse click on this and I'm going to try to duplicate. Not sure if it'll duplicate since it's 2 pieces. No, it's not going to let me duplicate. And the reason is if this were one item, but what I've got is I've got a placement line and a tack down and then the applique stitch line, and I have broken up the path. So we're just going to right mouse click and copy, and we're going to right mouse click and paste. Now I'm going to move this leaf. I'm going to right mouse click and paste. Okay, I don't have to copy and paste every time. Right mouse click and paste. I need 7 leaves. Right mouse click and paste. And you know what? These leaves are not the right color. Right mouse click and paste. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I need 1 more leaf. Right mouse click and paste. And now I have 7 leaves. And they're all the wrong color. The tops are. Because my leaves will stitch out as green, not as blue. But I'll worry about that in a moment. Okay, what we're going to do now is I want you to come in here and I want you to place your leaves. So I'm going to place this leaf. I'm going to rotate it. Now we're kind of zoomed in too close. I'm going to grab the outline. I don't need it anymore. So let's select the outline and delete it. And let's tell this to fit. Let's get a little bit bigger. So now I can come in here and select this leaf and I can place it right here where it looks good. Now I'm going to bring another leaf. Notice you have a little blue circle that allows you to rotate. Let's grab this leaf and place it where we want it. Rotate it till you like it. Place it here. We're going to put a 3rd leaf here. I come in and I'm going to add a 3rd leaf. So I've got that one. Now come in, get your next leaf, rotate it, put it where you like it on this flower. And of course, this gives you, your ability to create something the way you like it to be. And we're going to put our final 2 leaves on our other flower. There is a whole lot of repetition in this particular exercise. What am I going to do? I put this leaf here. Maybe I'll adjust this one just a little bit up. This allows you, whoops, almost grabbed the wrong leaf. This one allows you to do something. Everybody's won't look exactly the same. Okay, now we've got these, and the last thing we need is our centers. So we need to get our centers, and we need our finished centers. Where the world are my finished centers? Let's go ahead and see if I have. Okay, center placement finish. what I did is I've run out of space along here, so there's a little down arrow, and I can see the names of everything. Center, placement, finish. Again, this is not grouped, so go to All Items, come to your group icon, or right mouse click, Group. Right mouse click, copy this. Drop down, I need Design 8 because that's where I was. Right mouse click and paste. Now we're going to need 3 of these, so I'm going to put this here. I'm going to right mouse click and paste again. Move this one here. Right mouse click and paste. There's my 3rd one. Now I want these centers centered, obviously. So I've got my center selected. I'm going to hold down my control key and select the flower head. Right mouse click, Align Center. Grab this center, hold down your control key, select the flower, right mouse click, Align Center, and with my 3rd one, hold down your control key, select the flower as well, right mouse click, Align Center. Now my design is created, or how I want it to be. Now if you wanted to make these flowers have a little more angle, the stems, you could do all this in a moment when you place it actually on your pillowcase. But I like it okay now. And what I'm going to do next is we are now going to create 3 separate designs so this can be stitched out. We will use our template tearaway to print these on. We'll stitch out our first flower, sticking our template tearaway onto our pillowcase. Then when we rehoop, we're going to stitch out the next flower and we will place it where it's attractive. But since we have template tearaway, we know our placement will be exactly where we want it. So come to your second icon down. Now this is in both programs. It's your Lasso Tool. And what you're going to do is you're going to come in here, and we are with a series of left mouse clicks. I'm going to click around everything here in this flower. Right mouse click. You see I've selected the stem, the 2 leaves, the flower head, and the flower center. I'm going to right mouse click and copy all of that. Actually, I'm going to right mouse click. Let me see if I can do it here. Yes, I'm going to cut. What I'm going to do is actually take it out of here so it'll be easier to select these. Get a new piece of paper. Right mouse click and paste. Now this flower is at an angle, but we are going to straighten it up here. When you place it with your template tearaway, you're going to lay it on your pillowcase the way you want it. It will be fine, but you want it to be straight for the hoop. So now I have this here, and I'm going to need to work in the sequence view. I'm going to bring it up. Now the first thing I need to do is I need to select the leaves. Now I'm going to hold down my control key, so I've got all 4 pieces of the leaves. Remember, we've got a placement stitch, a finish, a placement stitch, and a finish. First thing I need to do is ungroup those. So the reason we had them grouped is to make them easy to copy and paste and move around. But now I'm going to ungroup them. Now we want to think about what we want to do. The first thing we want to do is stitch down all the placement lines to lay our rickrack on, our leaves on, our flower head on, and our center on. And we kept those all as 34-35, or the color number 1. Let's just go with color number 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by dragging all the color number 1s up. Okay, whoops. Of course I have to ungroup that as well. My center was grouped. So was my flower head. Okay, now what I have is a run stitch, a run stitch, a run stitch, a run stitch, and the center. So those are all placement lines. Now this center, I don't want to stitch out with the other run stitches. Why? Because I need to put the back of the flower down, the head of the flower down before this placement line. So we're okay here. Now let's come down here. Now my first tackle twill, perfect. After the run stitch stitches, the placement lines will all stitch down. First thing I will do is put my rickrack down. Whoops, undo is my friend. And then I want the flower head to stitch next. So I will place it down. So the rickrack will go first, then I will place this down and it will stitch. Nope, I take that back. I want my leaves to stitch second before I put down my rickrack. So I'm going to come, there is a leaf. Now I don't want the leaves to finish in the same blue. I'm going to change this to color number 3, which is green. I'm going to find my next leaf. Right mouse click on green. Now those leaves are now green leaves. I want them to come and I want them to stitch out right after the run stitch. So now what I've got is I'm going to stitch out the leaves, all the placement, then I'm going to have leaves stitch out, then I want my flower head to stitch out, and then I want my placement line for my flower to stitch, and then the finish. So let's look at it. Let's go to view and let's go to slow redraw. Okay, what's going to happen first? There's all your placement lines. Now you're going to place down your leaves. They're going to stitch down. Now you're going to lay down your flower. You're going to put down your oh, we forgot something very important. We're going to put down our stem. We're going to place our rickrack over it. What's going to hold the rickrack down? Nothing. So that's why we always do slow redraw. Grab your placement stitch for your run stitch. Right mouse click copy. Right mouse click paste. So now I've got that extra run stitch, don't I? So run, run. It's the same placement. We're going to put that after the leaves, right? Because I want it to do all my placement lines. So now let's look at it. View, slow redraw. There's all your placement lines. Now we're going to finish our leaves off. We're going to stick our rickrack down, and then we're going to stitch our rickrack down. So depending on the color of your rickrack, you want to make this run the color that blends with your rickrack. Now we're going to stick after the rickrack's down, we're going to stick our flower head down. And it's going to stitch that down. Perfect. Now it's going to do the placement line for our center, and then it's going to stitch our center down. And we are going to save this file, save as, left flower. Save. Now of course we're going to go back to our design. We would get this lasso stitch, the lasso tool, and again we're going to come in here and we're going to get our center flower now. Right mouse click, cut, get a new piece of paper, right mouse click paste. What are we going to do in here? First thing is with everything selected, let's ungroup. Perfect. Now everything is ungrouped. Now remember my stem, I forgot in my stem I did not make a stitch down, right? I made a placement but I forgot to make a stitch down. So what I'm going to do is right mouse click copy, right mouse click paste, and change the stem to the color your rickrack is going to be. Now we're going to come in here and we're going to take these run stitches. We are going to add all of our run stitches together except for our center. So now what's going to happen? We're going to put our center, we're going to do our leaf, 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 and somewhere we're missing oh, here's the run. We need the center run for here. Bring that one up. So now let's see what's going to happen. View, slow redraw. There goes our center, our leaf placement, and our top placement. Perfect. Now we don't want this run stitch to stitch down here. We want our leaves to stitch down first, right? So we need to come in here and get our leaves. There's a leaf. Hold down your control key. Get that leaf. Well, you don't even have to hold down. So we've got our 3 leaves, correct? Let's change them to color number 3, your green. Right mouse click. So now I've got the 3 leaves. So let's bring these leaves up, drag them to stitch out right after the placement stitches. So now we're going to do all of our placement, then our leaves are going to stitch out. Now our run stitch going to go that stitches down our rickrack. Now there is our center. Then it's going to put down the placement line and the finish. So this is done. Of course, you can always check it with View Slow Redraw. So placement lines are all down. Leaves are next. Stitch down our rickrack. Do the top of our flower. Stitch down a placement line for our center, and now it finishes. File, Save As, and we're going to save this down as center. This is our center design. So now we will center and shoot, hang on here. Let's close this. We don't want to mess anything up. File, Save As, name this center, save, and again you're going to go back to your original. You're going to select all of this. That's all that's left now. So select all, right mouse click, copy, open a new piece of paper, right mouse click paste. Remember to straighten it up. With that straightened up, you're going to go through the same process again. You're going to make sure you duplicate this. You're going to copy and paste it so you have it tacked out, and change everything, and then you are going to file, Save As, Right. It'll be your right flower. You have your left flower, center, and right flower. And then we're going to come back and print these out on Template Tearaway. I hope you've enjoyed the digitizing portion. I know this has been a longer lesson, but we are going to be able to start doing more and more in the software. Thank you so much for coming today. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you stay for our construction portion of the class.